It's Friday and it's time for Weekend Sip. There's perhaps no hotter category of spirit these days than rye. The classic American whiskey saw sales growth of 536% from 2009 to 2014, with total annual sales reaching $300 million. But the WSJ's Charles Passy is here to show us a limited edition rye that looks to be standing out from the rest.
Absolutely.
Welcome to you, buddy.
Absolutely.
136 proof.
136
right
proof.
there.
Yeah, you cannot pretty much buy an alcohol on the market these days unless you're buying, like, you're getting moonshine from the backyard. You cannot get an alcohol that's stronger than this or whatever. But there's a little more to this one than just the proof.
There's some cool history. It's named after Booker No. Tell us about him.
Right. Well, Booker No was a famous distiller. He was the master distiller of Jim Beam, and he was a bourbon guy for the most part, but he loved rye. And shortly before his death, he decided he was going to make a special rye. They won't tell us the exact recipe. We know if it's a rye, it's at least 51% of rye in the mash bill, the grain mix. And he laid this down before his death. It's aged some 13 years, and his son opened the barrels and said, it's ready. So this is what they've come out with. Very limited edition, $300 a bottle.
Okay, what did you think of it?
You know, I like rye, and I always say rye is sort of a bourbon's spicier sibling. This is a big rye, and I would almost say maybe a little too big. I mean, it's got a lot of flavor. I think it's one that is worth trying, and if you're a serious rye aficionado and you have a lot of money, you may want to buy a bottle. But for me, I think I'm okay with a more affordable rye that has maybe a little bit easier to grasp flavor. This is a big and rich whiskey. So you want?
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay. Cheers.
Whoa. I mean, it is smooth, but it's so strong that you can taste the pungent.
Yeah, I mean, and they would argue that when you release something at this proof, leave it to the consumer. You can cut this down with water, with ice. You could theoretically put it in a cocktail. I don't know if I would do that with a $300 bottle, but you can control it as you want. But still, it's a heavy whiskey.
And what is the demand like out there for these really strong products like
Well, I would say that in general, people have been gravitating to what's called barrel strength, and that's true beyond just whiskey. I mean, there's barrel strength in a lot of things well, I mean, it's mostly whiskey, I guess, but I mean, people have been going for high-proof spirits in general. You know, I would say the demand is there. I think people like the idea that, you know, when you see a bottle at 80 or 90 proof, you have to understand that what's happened is the maker of that whiskey has added the water in already. I think people like the idea that they can control their whiskey a little bit more to their liking, and there's clearly more flavor with something that's barrel strength. Maybe too much flavor for some people, and too much alcohol. I would actually say with this that you get a good balance between flavor and alcohol, but you feel the alcohol.
Okay, well, we're going to see how smooth this is. If we have headaches at the end of the day, then we know.
We know what's at fault, right? So anyhow.
All right, well, thanks a lot, Charles.
Sure.